Everyone out of the way!
Len is carrying Runa through the streets of Riverfront, hurrying towards the theater, which is the closest safe place that they know. The crowd is scattering in directions because Gav is large and in charge. And he fortunately knows the way to the marketplace as well, or to the playhouse, because it's been a staple for several years within the city. As they burst in, and the one of the actresses, Veronica, who neither of you have seen before, she's halfway through practicing her routine, which means that she's half undressed and on the stage and a little startled at the three of you bursting in. But when she kind of sees somebody held, she her eyes widen, like, do we need to call the guard?
I do not think so.
She is very
we were
hurt.
we were directed here by Rosa.
She says, I'll get the best doctor I know.
Okay,
Kinda...
is there a place we can rest
upstairs?
her?
Upstairs. There's yeah.
Okay.
She's just like a moment later, a large man that the others have met before, that's a carpenter, he comes in. He's the one who kind of like runs the place effectively, and he's pushing open the door. Veronica like dips out the front door, dips right back, grabs the shirt, throws it on, goes back out.
Well, then Len's gonna head upstairs.
Yeah,
and hope that there's an obvious space for her.
The area up above is, there's like several couches. It was previously like the stage manager's office, and it's been kind of resettled, but I don't think much has really been done yet to kind of make it your own space as yet. But that does mean that there's couches, there's desks, there's a rug, there's a few file cabinets.
Yep. Len will gently put her down on the comfiest looking couch and then look at Gav. Friend Gav, can you get clean cold water and cloth, or see if they can get?
Yeah, he's like, clean water. You need cloths, yes, okay. And he sort of lumbers off and starts looking around for wash basin or a barrel.
There's a room in the back that they do a lot of like their changes and stuff like that, so they'll have access to water, and you'll be able to find whatever you need, as well as plenty of like spare cloth and whatnot for any kind of first aid tending you want to do. Gav actually has the doctor skill.
Yes.
So would you like to make a roll with that with your wits?
Sure.
Gav has like the nobody expects it doctor skill.
Well, he's had to probably stitch himself up many a time, so.
That is 17.
Okay. Yeah, so her wounds are like, so you have the potential to try to make like an actual, this is just the analysis roll. And if you would and you got at least a 15 on it, so you'll get a free raise on a healing roll, which will potentially remove one of her dramatic wounds. However, that can only be done once a story. So any wound she has left over, she'll have to recover from. However, the target number to do that, to remove her wounds, is a 20. You get a free raise, but you can roll again.
He's gonna hold off.
Okay.
He's seen injuries, but not these kinds of injuries. He's more used to dealing with animal bites, and
she can take a fair amount.
Yeah.
Ryan Sparky is very hurt.
Yes.
Beyond my skills.
Doctor is on the way, I think. Then otherwise he's just gonna, dip a cloth in the cold water and bring it out a bit and kind of put it on the head.
Yeah. Bruno's starting to wake up from this. So like the cold water, like what she has is largely a pretty bad concussion and a collision with a wall. Mm-hmm. But
bonk.
There are definitely some either bruised or hairline fractured ribs, enough that they hurt, but not enough that they slow her down.
I think Gab would do things to just try to make her comfortable, like placing pillows in certain spots, knowing where she's probably hurt.
Yep. And then otherwise waiting for the doctor or for Runa to wake up. There's not much else they can do.
So a woman arrives. She kind of, she brushes Veronica off and kind of like comes upstairs. She says, I think there's been some confusion. I am Monsieurs, I am a dentist. She says, I have some training medically. She says, but I can do what I can.
Still better than I have. She hit her head very badly, fell backwards, big thump. Is
The
just
ribs
now
are
waking
injured.
up. Ribs are also battered.
Hmm. She says, I have a few things, she says, which are mostly to help quell pain.
We
She
will take
says,
it.
yeah, and she kind of offers like it's a small tonic. It's, it's largely like just a painkiller. So, but she kind of like looks her over and she's like, she does not appear to be bleeding internally. She says, so rest and a little bit of time for her to recover is all that I believe.
Oh, well, thank you, and he'll reach in and hand her some guilders. Thank you for time and the tonic.
She says, she kind of like starts to like count back some of them. You know what I'm saying? She's like, a house call, this is too much. She says, thank
It
you.
is okay that we stay here, yeah?
Veronica nods. She says, uh, Rosa described the two of you to us. She says, you're part of their little council, right?
Yes, yes, we are part of
Veronica
council.
would recognize Runa.
Yeah. She says, Bruno is with them. And she kind of like looks down the stairs. She's like, the guard's here. Do you want me to make him go away?
Yes, there's no need for guard for this. Thank you.
And she slips down. And Beatrice the Dr. Beatrice, she's like, if there's no further need of me, I can stay if you need, but I do have customers.
No, if you have customers, please. We
Thank
appreciate
you
what
for
you've
your
done.
help.
Yes.
She says, of course, if you ever have a tooth that needs removing, she says, come by the
Usually
store, come by the
I
shop.
remove other people's teeth, but yes, we'll keep in mind.
Well, she says, I've put a few back as best as can. She says, I make dentures as well. So keep me in business. Thank you very much. Good night.
She leaves and Gav's like, if you look at Gav, you can tell he's like mentally counting his teeth.
um, so Bruno can wake up. There's uh, she's had enough time that she's kind of recovering. She's definitely still in the place where like she sees the man that was in her vision, like reaching to touch her. The mark that's on her arm does not look like it's like fresh carved. Does that make sense? Like there's the blood in it. Where did you say that it was going to appear on her?
Right here. On her
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Of all of the marks that are on her, most of them look carved into place. This one looks like it was branded in a moment. And the flesh is still a little livid as if it had just touched flame.
Runa's gonna wake up. And at this point, she's still kind of in. She is unaware that it is over because she has been unconscious for a little bit. And she shoots up and like kind of retracts because she's like, oh no, I'm in pain.
And
The-
Len is gonna be, Friend Luna, please. You are safe. You're safe
Miss-
but wounded.
The man was in a
Still
swamp.
Sparkhead.
There were weird mushrooms around it. He was pregnant and it gave birth to weird snakes.
Was it very white, pale, like a corpse?
Yeah. And the
Verschlingen.
grass died around these snakes in the swamp. I think he may be a Skirjin, but I don't. He
That
gave birth
monster.
to snakes.
Is
That's not a thing that happens.
is not, but you must lay back. Do not injure yourself further. You hit the wall very hard.
Is my arm, does it feel, do I feel a new rune?
So you have always carved your runes into place. There are those who use other methods, like there are those who've like branded and use that as a method to kind of call the blood and the power of the Skirjin. This one feels different. Like the best way that I can describe it is it feels almost as if the flesh simply rotted and fell out.
Yum.
Yeah.
She's because that's not where she has a rune.
Yep, there's a bandage over it right now, though. Remember, Len like wrapped it as best he could. You have new carving or brand, more to say. It showed up when you hit your head. It smelled like burnt meat.
I she like sorry, I know you put time into this. And she takes off the bandage. Shit. And she just starts panicking.
Breathe,
That'd be-
breathe. You are safe. The wound does not look bad. What do you say,
It's
friend
not a
Gav?
good rune.
I have sharp knife.
It won't help.
Speaking of help, please.
From
Be
the
laying back.
doorway, Veronica, the actress, she's kind of like, I have boobs.
Wait, did you say I have boobs?
Booze.
Booze.
Like
I have boobs. And
That's
as
like
Ruth went, that is the cure.
it is a cure. That'll be like helps me much. Not so sure about Sparky, but he's just gonna be trying to get Runa to lay back. Doctor's orders and everything.
She will hesitantly. She's still kind of in.
But is safe. Is safe. Is okay. You are here. He cannot hurt you again. Um, but you must stay still for a while longer. If you have pain, have tonic from doctor for pain.
Got a lot of pain.
Did you say not a lot of pain or
She just said a lot of pain.
oh, a lot of pain? And he'll like kind of brace her with an arm and probably more than he needs to do, but he's not exactly, a doctor or caregiver himself. So he's
Yeah.
just like, here you go. Friend Gav put up pillows for you.
Thank you.
And then once she's settled, Len is going to go write down everything she said. I assume there's going to be pens and ink and or
Yeah.
quills and ink and such. So he's just going to write down everything he said. Verschlingen, white snakes. Here we go again. White snakes, mushrooms. He tries to spell out Skirlinga or whatever, but that's not a word he knows. So
That wasn't a word she said because she doesn't know what they are.
Scaregin, I think is what.
Scaregin. That's what she said. Scaregin.
Veronica does return with like a bottle of like one of the cheapest whiskeys that's in the city. It's not like that's just what they have on hand. They're not exactly like a highbrow
Yeah, I
playhouse.
was like, I know this brand. It's good stuff.
Len is like, as soon as he cracks it, are you trying to help her or blind her?
She says, we drink this all the time. She says, and only 1 out of 10 or 20 people is compliant.
And anything will do. Thank you.
It's coming of age tradition. You finish the bottle, you are now a man. You don't finish the bottle, you're still asleep.
She nods soberly. She says, the last time she says, finished the bottle, I definitely woke up with balls.
And Runa's gonna drink a good amount of it.
Last time I drank one of bottles like those, I lost my pants and demanded hugs from everybody.
She's
a very
quite a
awkward
hardy
time.
girl.
Glory was actually there for that, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so don't think any of us knew this was going to happen, but would suggest if you do this kind of looking in the future, one of us maybe holds you, or we get you like a helmet made of pillows, or both.
I'll be better prepared next time. I just
See,
All right.
this isn't good.
no, sounds very terrible.
So this feels like a good time for us to cut over to our title screen. um, give me. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm, a 7th First Edition Let's Play, set in the great lawless city of Freeburg. Our art is courtesy of Hero Forge, First Edition 7C, and Be Funky. Our producer is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa, and our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of 7C is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Hans.
Hello, my name is Rory. I'm playing the fine young Eisenman Hans tonight. Just really quick, apologize if I slowly sink away from the camera. My chair is betraying me, and the hydraulics have decided to fail on me starting like yesterday. So I'm hoping to get a new one eventually. But that was intentional.
Okay.
If I kind of just disappear, you'll know why. I'm not trying to escape the game, I promise. Outside of
chair.
a regular chair would be hell on my back. Outside of playing a fun character here today, I am attempting to hang out more in the Discord when I have some free time. I may start posting some, I don't know, random Christmas memes I find. And I am also, I keep saying it, I am actually, my overlay is finally done. I have everything actually set up to start streaming, so that very well could happen tomorrow, could happen next days I'm off as well, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So also found out the software I use for music production doesn't work on my new operating system of choice. So I'm learning a new one. That's going to be my first couple of streams, is learning Bitwig, if anyone has heard of that. I think that's my cue from my friend over here to pass it along.
Friend,
Whoa.
I guess I'm on the couch tonight.
No.
That's okay. I'll cuddle Rory then.
Well, in that case, I believe
He doesn't cuddle.
that is my cue. I'll give this.
He rolls.
Pass this over to Bat Kyle.
Hi, folks. I'm Bat Kyle. I'm a menace. You can find me here on Sundays playing Len. I swear she did this to herself, Costin. You can find me on Thursdays playing everybody's favorite salt level 9000 angriest, grumpiest half badger in existence, Badge's Newth. And then you can find me on our wonderful, super friendly Discord, posting unhinged food memes and anything else I think might actually cause people to go, but why? So then let's go over to Shadow.
That's if my audio is working tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm Shadow, also known as the True Shadowmancer. I'm one of the founders of the Desperate Dice Rollers Discord channel. On tonight, I am playing Israel Main Dupol. And on Tuesday nights, you can find me in the Cyberpunk Red game playing Shane the Nomad. I also hang out in the Discord server for Dirty 20 Gaming, so if you want to pop in and say hi, just page me. And let's see, let's just pass it on down the road to... Hi, Ruth.
Hi, I'm Ruth. You found me. Ah.
I think that's a new record for your intro going completely off the rails.
What was the second?
Probably there. Just about, yeah.
I purposely picked you with no food in your mouth, so you can't blame me.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
You weren't
I
there.
do this to myself.
I think you jinxed it by picking her when she didn't have food in her mouth.
crying. Okay, hi. Hi. I'm unmedicated, guys.
Hey there,
broke her.
bestie. Spill the tea.
I'm so. This is just my first day that I just haven't taken my meds, so. Okay, hi, I'm Ruth. I'm here today as Runa. Please, I didn't choose this. Um, last name redacted. Um, on Tuesdays, you can find me here as our resident fixer and now a corpo fixer. Exit.
Spoilers.
It's not spoilers. You just don't watch the show, friend.
Ah,
Being goofy.
Shame on you.
I love you.
Indeed. Goofy too. Shame on me. I do need to watch more of the shows.
And on Thursdays, you can find me here as the sex appeal and 1/3 of the brawn in our King's Pyrite game on Thursday. I said Thursday already. I'm gonna pass it along to Sarah.
So, hey y'all, my name is Sarah. You can find me on the Discord as Sans and every other name that I play as here. You can find me on Tuesday as the resident resident corpo magic. I am the DM for the Fool's Gold campaign, and I'm trying here, back Kyle, please. And if I'm not here, you can find me over on Tangar Productions, working with this card adventurer to bring stuff and things. I give up. I'm muting myself now.
This is going to be an interesting night.
yeah.
So I believe
um,
that brings us to Bison, right?
that would be
Does bring
me.
us to Bison, yeah.
Hi, I'm Bison. I am a regular on this channel. You can catch me most of the times in the Discord, where I am the resident hyperfixation for Warhammer 40k. So if you have any stupid questions to ask, throw them into Let's Talk TTRPGs, and I'll keep you entertained for at least an hour and a half. Other than that, I run, or at least I try to run, the Cyberpunk Red game Carnage Heights on Tuesdays, and I'll be honest, y'all, I'm pretty much just playing catch up to these crazies. I wasn't expecting a corpo arc out of all the things that happened. Anywho, on Thursdays I play Prehistoric Pete Sakes in Sino, the Dragonborn Paladin Ranger on the D&D 5th edition King's Pyrite game. So let's take it back to the boss.
All right.
Oh, tonight I play Gav. It's like the third time I've done that.
Tonight he plays Everybody Move, Cap. All right. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of three ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, a tobacco best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight, properly girded, with a letter, the most seductive of the three, and thus the most powerful. The letter in question is a letter that Gerard folded up and put into his pocket a while ago, and now is unfolded, and one, I had her name and then I lost it. One Frida Kubek is at the city hall. Gerard had gone to her place of business after hours, which was also her home, but she was willing to answer the door. She didn't seem actually particularly bothered by being awoken after hours. She has a small store called the Paper Mill, and inside it was all kind of like I want to say confections, but I know that's not right. It's like, you know, stationery and pens and inkwells and um uh
Scrivener
the
supplies?
what's that?
Scrivener supplies?
Like it's everything you could want for sending letters, especially like letters of import around like the holidays or something particularly important. There's also everything you would need for like wax and seals and stuff like that. And once Gerard had made known what he needed, she opened a small door to a back room where there was even more papers of like to very specifically batch certain papers that were often held only in the royal family. Small touches that only a master forger would know. Like this would be a fake to anybody who saw it because it wasn't on the right kind of stationery.
Photographer stuff. I figured out the word
Cartography is part of it. Cartography is more map specifically, but there's a specific.
I think cryptography. Sorry,
Oh, cryptography.
like forgery and stuff.
But she takes the letter that's offered and she kind of starts matching it against different papers. And then she expertly like kind of goes through different ink wells and like lifts up the different inks and puts them on the paper to make sure that she's got an exact match. It was like a 20-minute process of just finding the right stuff. And then she packed all of them up into a small little case, came with you to the city hall. She is 4 foot nothing. A very like slight woman, you know what I'm saying? But she walks at the very fast clip. For kind of like a visual image, think of the woman from The Incredibles who costumed everybody.
Edna Mose.
Edna, yes.
No
So,
kicks.
yeah, but Frida like absolutely keeps pace with Gerard without a problem, even though her feet have to like go like twice as far with every step. And once she's like in the city hall and she actually has the letter to look at, she just kind of like and creates the most masterful forgery you've ever seen. The numbers on it are different, so it will be effectively untranslatable. Does that make sense? But everything else, the handwriting, the name at the top and at the bottom, like you're holding both of them. The only reason you can tell them apart is because one has the marks of the folding. She says, and I believe it will need an imperial seal as well.
Wait,
And she kind of nods and, you know, sets little glasses on her nose and kind of, she pours it out. And where other people would put a seal in and like press it into place, she does it with like a tiny fine knife and carves it perfectly on the first go. Kind of blows it off. She says, and are you responsible for the payment or should I forward the cost to Wilma Probst?
I will be covering the costs.
Can you do a quick reset on your audio like you did before?
That is this.
Okay, cool.
I will be covering as a cost, Mama, sir.
She says that will be 150 guild, which is
Okay.
a lot of money. That's like a month's rent in some place, but she is completing a forgery of something sealed with the royal crest of Montaigne. And the cost also speaks to somebody who very much knows her worth.
I will not haggle with her. I shall make sure that she gets her gold.
She says, a pleasure doing business with you.
As you. And should go without saying, neither of us will ever hear.
She says, of course not. She says, I believe you know where to find me if you need my services again.
Of course.
Yeah, and she back out the door afterwards.
I will be returning to meet with the other members of the group.
Yeah, and when you go to the city hall, Wilma is just coming back from like where they had gone up to the tower to discuss some things in private. And she explained that everybody had sort of broken into two different groups. One of them had gone to speak to Cardinal Siosa, and the other one to follow up on some sort of magic that Runa believed. She doesn't know where they are now, but they had mentioned they were going to reconvene at the Playhouse afterwards.
Well, then, if we are done here, perhaps we should meet them at the playhouse.
She says, was Frida capable of making a forgery?
We have everything we need.
She says, given your group is already known to have been here, she says, perhaps it'd be wisest if the forgery was kept here. She says, I'll make sure it is suitably locked and squirreled away.
Of course.
And she puts it in hand. And,
Eh.
right. But yeah, she returns to her work. And she kind of like pauses. She says, when you see Gav next, would you tell him I would like to speak to him privately?
Of course.
She says, thank you.
And I make my way to the playhouse.
We'll have you arriving around the same time that Rosa and Hans do. Arthur has been distracted by an attractive Avalonian woman in the market area that he was at.
That checks out for Arthur.
The pull of destiny.
Is that what he calls it?
That's what I'm calling it. I don't know what he'll call it.
Just got it tattooed somewhere.
Okay. When the three of you arrive, Veronica is sort of downstairs standing guard. Like, you know, she lets everybody in. She's like, but when she sees everybody, she's like, Runa had some sort of injury.
So
What happened?
I don't know, but
Oza's immediately just headed in.
yeah.
A woman on a mission.
She says, I brought the dentist and some whiskey.
that will do the trick. Head on it.
She's finished a good 3/4 of the bottle.
Go ahead and make a
Fair
resolve
enough.
roll for me.
Yeah.
Nothing says
I
lucidity
probably
like
not
a
that
hand
much,
moving
but like close.
Gav hasn't noticed her take or extra imbibing. To him, she's at like
28.
Okay.
Tuesday night levels.
You can definitely finish this bottle, but like getting into the next one is going to be an issue.
She's good with the bottle.
Runa, how do corks work? No last name.
She has one. It's just safer to not. Just say it. For her.
Give me a wits roll as well. You don't have any penalties actually because you did high enough on your resolve roll.
Okay. 23?
Okay. It's up to you if you want to notice or care, but she does notice that like Veronica takes the bottle and returns with it. And like it still has sort of the sheen and color of the alcohol, but it's significantly watered down. It looks like she filled most of it up with water, so at least if she continued drinking, she'd be starting to dilute a little.
Runa's just gonna say thank you. She
Thoroughly sauced.
She acknowledges that she could use the water.
And Veronica just kind of smiles. She's like, a lot of people would fight me on it. But yeah,
You're looking out for me.
everybody's gathered. Bruna has, I assume, a new bandage over her arm now.
Yeah.
By this time.
And as many comfortable pillows as can be found in the room, even if it's more than she actually needs. There's just
Yeah, she looks
pillows.
like a cat.
Meow, meow, meow.
Yeah. Len will wave when everybody else troops in. He's finishing up his notes.
That seems like
Signore, what happened?
it seems like you guys had a bit more eventful than we did.
So you know how I said that the first time I saw him in a vision, he pushed me? He
See,
can do more than that.
I was
Apparently, he has very good arms.
prepared to wake her up. I was not prepared for her to be violently thrown into a wall.
I wasn't prepared. I didn't know.
It's or branded. I don't know why that happened too, but
Yeah.
Granted,
I'm sure he's a scaregin, like me. Except I think he is a master of hereje. Sorry. The she translates the word to Eisen, ruin. It's not good. It's seen as a curse. And now that rune has been branded on me.
so you saying that you have been cursed.
sorry, Shadow, it's doing it again.
First, you zoom.
By the name of Ruin, I mean, of course, that's not a good sign.
No, and I took down what you said from your vision. In case you did not recall, you were very unsettled when you woke up, understandably so.
I do remember.
so the magic that you do, Runa, it's the scars that you have. See?
Correct.
So the
Can I interject real quick? I just want to ask what Gerard was trying to say. See if we can hear him this time. Or is he frozen? No.
No.
There's.
No. Working on the microphone.
Thank you.
No, what I was saying is, so you have been saying you have been cursed.
This rune is seen as a curse. It's complicated.
Many things that are seen as bad are only as bad as the one who wields them, or is good.
But I have a feeling, given the fact that he is very likely has mastery of this rune. It's bad that I saw him in the vision where the tower was breaking. And it's almost worse that when Lebrop saw him in the tower before the Iron Prince jumped.
If it is ruined, does it mean he's like a manifestation of a tragic event to come? It's-
Would it be thematically appropriate that Runa would know like the backstory of the rune?
It's not just thematically appropriate, it's the difference between Vestin and Vendel. For
Right,
Vendel, they're
yes.
just for Vendel, those are just symbols that can do magic. For Vestin, they're stories, they're representations of actual heroes and people from their past. Does that make sense? There's close to the runes themselves, the name givers for the runes are as close to like demigods in Vestin lore as exist.
I was gonna read it all off, but I'm dedicated. I'll do it. So, but bear with me. Um, to each of my runes have story behind them. The ruin rune is the 19th rune. And it's that of disruption and the destructive forces of nature. Ruin comes unexpectedly, brutally awakening everyone it touches, thrusting them into a desperate struggle to survive. Hirchu was the living embodiment of this devastation. A man plagued with the worst luck of any who ever survived childbirth. Like many of the original gods, Hirju fled his homeland after the worst days, nearly sorry. All the image of him, usually carried by other Scourgeon who worship him, they'd been burned in the hopes that he won't return. That's why this rune is seen as bad.
That part involves giving birth to giant white snakes.
It doesn't. That's why. That's the confusing part. Because that doesn't happen.
But friend Gav has seen such snake before, have you not, friend Gav?
That snake killed everyone I cared about when we left the city. Herr Forscher, many soldiers.
So you've been to the swamp.
I know where it is. I would not want to go back.
It's probably a good thing.
As he says that, he's kind of like rubbing the part where his Cernith hand meets his ragged stump.
You say you are cursed now?
That is also complicated.
If
Well, it is complicated in my head. Storyteller, if you could enlighten me a little bit more.
So, in the same way in like Norse lore, you didn't see a lot of people like worshiping Loki. He was like a bad force. But that doesn't mean that there weren't people who thought that having Loki's wit or wisdom, or even treachery was like a bad thing. Does that make sense? The ruin is sort of like the worst luck. And there are some people who already feel that they're plagued with the worst luck. And so as Scaregin, they kind of go, well, why not? At least I can give it to my enemies too.
It is complicated. I'm. You could say that,
So,
but I'm also not doomed to it.
so can these runes affect you when you do not invoke them?
Not usually. I don't. A lot of my learning has been done on my own now. I don't have as much knowledge as I would like to, but I still have a fair amount. But from what I've learned and what I know, not unless I have mastered them. I would have to invoke them.
Then do not invoke rune. All is good.
You can hear the words of your mother in your head when she was first teaching you about the runes. And one of the things that she said to you shortly after she had called down enough lightning to split the mast of a Vendel ship and leave it helpless in the middle of a storm. And she said that Scaregin believe they choose the runes, but sometimes the runes choose the Scaregin.
Oh shit.
Hmm?
I think I might be wrong.
Other magic seems so complicated.
See, it does seem complicated.
My mom, when I was younger and she was first teaching me, told me that Scaregin think they choose the runes, but sometimes the runes choose the Scaregin.
Like how the cards choose people.
I guess so.
Cats.
Cats?
Yes, sometimes
Sorry, I know
they
it.
choose their owner.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Rosa said cards. Gav.
Or cats.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Gav's trying to be insightful.
Very good, Gav.
So maybe it is not as could not be as like not a permanent curse as much as it is a bad omen, a sign of
No, that's a different rune.
future
I'm
tragedies. I don't. It's.
kidding. I didn't say
I
that.
agree. This is all. My head hurts trying to think about all this.
My head also hurts, but I'm concussed.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Could it be like the cards? They affect you without you knowing.
Unfortunately, I think that's likely.
Well, it's something we have to watch out for then.
Suppose so.
Hans and I found out that the book we are looking for.
Ah, yes, the great book of known in the annals of history for its ability to just break a scene. It was sealed away by the librarians of Alka-Seltzer.
It was a duck.
Veronica takes
Cherry
Veronica
Putty.
takes the rest of the whiskey bottle away. Like, yep, you're good.
She's just drinking water now.
It is here in Freiburg. But it is at a building nearby.
Okay.
Well-guarded building?
So,
What's the
see,
catch?
guarded by the Inquisition.
See,
That's the
Oh.
but
catch.
on Sunday, the Padre Ciosa is having a big meal
Mm.
for for whoever comes to church. He has asked that we give we give someone to watch to help the guards since so many are coming for food. But that also means the guards guarding the book will not be there.
So
Me and Arthur have volunteered to fill the gaps in the guard personnel for this large mass.
Think friend Gav, if you are not busy, would be also good guard.
Is
People.
I could pretend.
Okay.
I mean, you get a hearty meal out of it regardless. So there's that as well.
I do like food.
We all do.
So win-win.
It is less got more what is the Eisen word?
Rosa.
Big to protect. I
That I
actually
can
don't
do.
know that word.
That I can. do.
That I don't know.
Yes.
I can
That-
be
that's-
big to protect.
Yes, friend Gav is good at that. Reason I suggest friend Gav is we'll need to look at building, but may have my very sneaky ways to get into building.
That's a good point. I've yet to
And
discover what your sneakiness is, then I'd be most interested to see this in action.
and
Yeah.
I have thought, but I'm not sure if it's going to work.
Well,
I may have a connection to the book,
Hmm.
and if
Well-
I can see the lines of fate, I might be able to track it. It is
Oh.
only in theory. I don't know if I am strong enough to do so.
Then maybe
Uh,
you.
Is there any
and
way
I-
any of us can help?
Pardon moi.
Storyteller.
They'd have to be Strega, honestly.
Okay.
um,
Pardon moi. But what is the need for this book?
Just Gerard was there for what the actual letter says, right?
Yes, but not the discussion afterwards. The tower where it was kind of discussed about what might be done
Okay.
with it. And given he's carrying the letter and also Montaigne, it might be an idea. It might be a good point to talk with him about it and decide what is the plan.
Yeah. As the Emperor's wife is a Strega, we were looking for a way to block her ability, her magic from affecting her daughter. So we could protect her from Emperor and protect her child.
and then it's like, well, to share, since already some of you have shared your secrets. Storyteller, does this floor look like it could support a Kodiak bear?
300 kilos.
The carpenter has definitely done some work to try to, make sure that there's some support, but it's gonna be a coin flip.
Then do I need to use a die to change shape if I'm not going to be a bear?
Well, it's to change any animal shape, but
Oh.
since we are doing this for the purposes of demonstration, as long as it's not like I'm not going to charge you a drama die for it, as long as you're not actually trying to roll to accomplish anything once you're in the form.
Oh
Does
yeah,
that make
no,
sense?
he's not. And he's
Another thing that like Usurans frequently do to show their ability is they actually just talk to an animal.
there are no animals around, so that he can see. So instead, he's going to settle down right next to the couch, and you know what? Fuck it, we ball bear.
Whoa.
And Gerard steps back, drawing his sword. Lucaru.
Runa's gonna hold up her hand, like she sits up and holds out her hand. As
No,
like
it
a-
is
Oh,
bear.
Wait.
Hold up.
Wait,
There's
why are you
so
bear?
the transformation happens like Len fully, grows into, and you can see like the shift and like change of his face and whatnot. It's not like there's just suddenly a bear there. Does that make sense? I think it takes like 10 actions to shift.
Yep.
Or several actions. What also happens that I'm thinking most everybody notices is that the floorboards like, and then quite suddenly the bear falls through the floor and lands like in the middle of the stage to like the cheers of a couple of drunken Eisen below.
Runa
Out the
shoots
middle of
up
a
and immediately
show.
goes, "Oh!"
And you see, like, like they haven't even really like started the play yet. You know what I'm saying? But like one of the actresses is just kind of like kind of,
Let's
she looks like she's trying to decide if she's like in mortal danger or this is part of the act that nobody told her about.
Led's just gonna give her a little wave, and then he's gonna stand up and he's gonna do a little dancing bear routine.
They're gonna put you in a tutu.
Just kind of shuffle his way off the stage, just roar, and then off he goes stage right, looking a little embarrassed, but not all that harmed because bear.
Okay. So
Embarrassed.
I just rolled like an improv check for the actress that was on stage, and she got a 35.
Nice.
So like by the time the little dancing routine is over, it's like a partner dance that like is fully integrated, and like the crowd is going wild. You know what I'm saying? And like you can tell they're gonna have the most packed house that they've had tonight. It is also somewhat kind of derailed the whole conversation that was happening upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's now a hole in the floor, and like the carpenter is looking up, like I can fix that.
Yeah, Rose has
I'm
just
so
kind
sorry.
of walked over to the side and like, did anyone else know he could do that?
No.
I was hoping you knew.
Does it look like he can go up the stairs safely, or is that not like bear stairs?
Well, I'll give you like if you get an 8, 9, or 10, you're gonna break the stairs on a D10.
Do not want to
I think a
trap
Kodiak
friends.
bear weighs well over 2 tons, right?
Yeah,
No,
it's the
that's
largest.
too much.
Gotta be, yeah.
Oh, wait.
Hold on. It's like
600 to
300
1,400 pounds.
Yeah.
These stairs were
Big.
designed like for 300 pounds without much problem.
Len will instead shift to a cat at this point and bound up the stairs that way instead.
Is that
Okay.
how you've been keeping an eye on Upman?
Yes.
You
And it's
should have
perfectly
started
his
with
voice.
cat.
Oh,
Well, that
As bear.
can still
No,
That's
it's
fascinating.
cat.
you can still talk as a cat. That is fascinating.
It's a little higher pitched, more pity if you like, but you know.
You speak as bear.
And cat, and owl, and otter.
but he
and
won't
snow
fall
leopard.
through the floor as a cat.
Yes, but bear is most comfortable form. Bear is form I was born with, or gifted shortly after being born. And
Wow.
the floor looked very sturdy. So,
I mean,
I very, very confused.
it is.
How
Gifted.
does your magic work?
Friend
exactly?
Len is
Please.
magic bear. That is the story.
Well, I was born human, and I am human, but I was gifted from birth by Matrushka, the spirit of Usaria. Brother Bear, might be worth good money, Glory. Friend Bear visited as very small child and gifted the spirit skin of bear. One of my magic, it can make deals with other animal spirits for their forms as well.
Oh.
I cannot cast fireball. I cannot throw lightning. I cannot see fate or make fancy blood portals, but can
What's
turn into
fireball?
bear. You've never seen this terrifying. This giant roaring ball of fire that gets bigger and explodes. It's terrible.
Downstairs, they like through the hole in the ground, you can hear like a bunch of eyes and like kind of like shouting like bear, 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 bear.
One more bear.
So anyway, can go in as cat, possibly with Rosa, or can scout as owl. Have many options.
My magic seems so interesting now.
What is magic, friend Rosa?
Huh?
What is your magic, friend Rosa?
Wait. Should any of this be private now that there's a hole in the floor?
See.
I don't think anybody
Um,
can hear us down there, can they?
Not over
The
cheering
acoustics in
eyes.
this place are terrible. Sound always goes where it's not meant to.
Okay, I'm gonna use. This is the first time I'm using this rune.
I'm gonna use Omen. I'm gonna carve Omen.
Okay. Go ahead and make a roll for it.
While they're doing that, Len's gonna look over at Gav. Friend Gav, grab another couch, and just gonna move a couch over the bear hole for now.
Um,
Bear.
From downstairs, the carpenter's like, don't put weight on it.
Oh,
sorry,
never mind.
it's resolve plus the amount I
Plus
have.
the knack.
Okay, yeah.
It's only target number 15, so
Is it 5 keep 5 or 5 keep 4?
Keep resolve.
Keep resolve, thank you. 20.
Nice. What does that
So
do?
now I'll just read the invoke and scribe effect. With a successful Laerdom check using this rune, the Scourgeon may speak to others in secret. All those present whom this Scourgeon wishes to deceive only hear a garbled foreign language.
Nice.
Nice.
No one will be able to understand us now.
Okay. So, friend Rosa, your magic?
She will actually take off her mask. So you guys get to see her scars.
I've already seen this. I
yeah.
reacted and I realized I've already seen it.
Runa's seen it. And her eyes are actually amber.
Friend Rosa is as pretty as I am.
Oh, grazie. My magic is all the fates. The staves, the cups, coins. I literally have to go look because player doesn't know. Swords. I can see it, but I can't affect it. I
You are
still have
saying
to
you are
learn.
playing with full deck.
See. Some people have cards like everyone here. Others do not. I can only see, though I cannot affect yet. I am learning.
Out of character, would we know what our cards are?
She's
Did that
told
even make
everyone.
She's shown.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she did.
The floating card bit.
yeah.
Yep.
Normally
Yeah.
people don't unless they have like a reading with the Strega,
Okay.
who shows it to them.
What?
I should add as sort of just like a lore thing. Vidachi is well known for having not necessarily the best swordsman in Thea, but the luckiest. You don't cross a Vidachi swordsman lightly because they might be blessed by a Strega and nearly undefeatable because of it.
In other words, they can't fight with skill, they have to fight with somebody else's magic.
See.
So,
They're also the
Hashtag Salty
dirtiest
Montaigne.
fighting mothers of any nation. So
Your magic is also really cool.
Yeah, that is
You guys
very
have really
cool
cool magic.
you throw lightning
See.
that
That is very cool.
Wish I could do
Thanks.
that.
and
That's so
see
cool.
distance and can apparently mask sound. I turn into animals.
I can do a fair amount.
Yeah.
I guess. But
Gav's like, I can throw chairs at people.
you can throw people at people.
Len will just hand Gav a skillet. Cast iron.
I can if we were ever to end up in a fight, I could give luck.
Hmm.
Luck is very underrated in a fight.
It's very useful.
Is anybody else having any magics besides friend Gav's hand?
Click, 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 click.
No? Okay.
The
Well-
the blessings we have here are the Draconize, and like you'll pull out the everyone. I think everyone has seen it at this point. It's like this big metal fist
Mhm.
pulls out of his like waist pouch, and it's it's kind of just really strong material. This one is a bad example. It's normally this incredible like white metal, almost
Oh.
glows on its own. It's beautiful in its.
So what
its original
happened to
form.
yours?
It's.
There was
just
a woman, wasn't there?
Um.
There's always a woman in this sort of thing.
Well, it's not my place to make assumptions.
Or a man.
There was a creature in. What's the forest's name again? Sorry.
Schwarzenwalden.
Yes, right. There. It's a weird tale. I don't even know how much of it is real and how much I may have just dreamed. There was. I woke up after some not so great circumstances in the Schwarzenwalden. If you know the Blackwood cursed forest that surrounds a lot of the place, kind of puts it on absentmindedly and kind of like clicks the fists a bit, clicks the metal around. There's tale told around. Oh, sorry.
For those of you who are watching, so like, I want to say two things. One, Gav, every single time you've seen somebody with Draconism, they've been a noble. Okay, so I just want that association. Like he just knows but the metal that he's looking at doesn't look like Draconism he's used to seeing. And for everybody else, it's sort of like it seems to absorb light. And it doesn't gleam the way most metal does. Like there's no kind of sign of light reflecting off of it.
Your Draconism is broken, sir.
Indeed, it certainly seems that way.
It's wrong color.
It did not used to be like this. There is perhaps you would know this story actually, Gav. There is tale of a cursed creature, the Scattenman, stalks the Schwarzenwalden, killing people that dilly-dally or take of the forest.
Monsters tend to do that.
Indeed. I mean, it is its home. The wood is most people do not use the wood from that forest for fear of the monster finding them and eating them for taking of the land. And I woke up on the ground, not in the ground. I woke up in the back of a wagon with this fierce creature of it. I can't even describe it. It was an indescribable horror. This beast looming over me. It told me that there was disaster on the horizon, and that, I mean, now that we've found out what is going on, I kind of understand it. That this land is in trouble. You know, that it's now contested territory almost. And he told me to go out and, I suppose, gather soldiers for the coming war. It was really confusing. And then it touched my gauntlet, and it turned this bizarre blackened metal. And I tried to polish it. I thought it was a surface thing. It changed it. I don't know how.
If Herr Forscher was alive, he'd probably know more, but
If
I was not educated by Explorers League, just by what he told me on the road.
I would like to interject real quick. Hans, your hubris for your arcana is the frightened,
Indeed.
right?
Indeed, it is.
I'm willing to give you a drama die if you're willing to make it clear to everybody here that while you're putting on a brave face, the experience was terrifying.
Oh yeah. Just I have to.
Breathe, friend Hans, breathe.
It's
You're
okay.
safe. You're safe.
This metal itself frightens me in a way that I cannot describe. It's wrong. This is not what this iron is supposed to be like. This is supposed to be a gift of the land, a gift of the Drakens to us, and we named it after them.
Runa's gonna put her hand on his shoulder
I don't know what it means,
as like a comfort thing.
and I will make this very clear. Unless absolutely necessary, I will not set foot in that cursed forest ever again. I do not want to incur that thing's wrath. I do not want it to find me again. This I feel was a warning. If I don't even know what it wants me. I don't know what it wants of me, but take it off, put it away. I will not set foot in Schwarzenwalden unless absolutely necessary.
Outside the city is scary.
I'm gonna hug him.
Forests are bad.
Aw.
It is.
Group hug,
Thank you.
bring it in.
Yeah, Runa gives him a big hug. Even though it kind of hurts her, she's doing it anyway.
Then there's a land
Careful,
hug.
my shoulder.
Uh,
He's on the smaller side.
yeah, I
She's not
actually
that
forgot he's
strong,
kinda-
plus she's injured.
Yeah,
That's
but
fair.
Len is doing this too.
Oh,
Like you
yeah.
said, he was on. You were patting one shoulder, Len was patting the other, and then you went for the hug, and he's like, "Group hug."
Len, ow!
Oh, not do it.
Watch
Sorry.
the ribs.
And she
Um,
kind of just like leans on Hans for a second.
Thought he was.
It's okay. It's okay, Len.
Would also mention. I think I've maybe mentioned this already, but Trushka passed a message through the spirits to me that there is a great danger, great darkness looming, and it's related to this place. She didn't make it much more clear than that, but you don't often get clear from Matrushka unless you are dead. Exactly.
All right.
Why saw you
There's
rolling?
a little rap on the door outside. And Veronica kind of pushes it open and she's like, "Show's getting ready to start. I just wanted to warn you, it might get a little loud in here."
Thank you.
Grazie.
Tickets. Beautiful.
No
Floor
tickets.
seats.
You
Floor seats. Sorry.
bear whole seats. Well, we have best view in house actually.
We can all like
Look
Keep
through the
down.
hole, eat popcorn. Yeah.
We, Monsieur Len, has created a new balcony seat.
indeed.
Before I forget, Monsieur Gao.
Hmm.
The Lady Sensual has requested your presence.
Sorry, who?
The Lady Sensual,
Wilma Probst.
Senora Prost.
Yes.
Mademoiselle Probst.
Oh, I
It-
Perhaps I shall go.
It is not a requirement, friend Gav, but would suggest possibly a bath and change of clothes before you go. If you do not have change of clothes, we can help with that.
You
I
have
think I have suit. I think I have set that hasn't been worn in a while.
do you have a place to bathe?
I live by the river.
But it's just gonna kind of pinch the bridge of his nose for a moment, and then just be like, take some of his gilder, press it into Gav's hands. He's like, friend Gav, there is a wonderful bathhouse, not terribly far from where friend Hans and I are staying. It might be a unique experience for you, and one that I highly suggest you partake of. It looks at everybody else. Do you think they may have costume clothing that in friend Gav's size?
Perhaps, yeah, I can run down and check.
Actresses.
Oh, actresses, probably not then.
I do
No,
not
they-
look
they're-
good in a dress. I have checked.
It is actresses, but they do occasionally, like do larger costumes to play,
Mm.
a villain or whatnot. So
Okay. Well then, yes, friend Todd, if you would do that, that would be great. Then we can send the friend Gav can bathe, put on fresh clothing, and be presentable and somewhat less of a standout with visiting the Lady Prost.
But of course, I'll go inquire about that.
Thank you, sir. Friend Gav, please do not feel bad. It is just you have lived a different life than we have, and
I feel like all of us have lived very different lives.
yes,
See.
that would be accurate to say. But I think I think one of my goals, at least, is to see that you can live a better life now.
You can tell Gav's like processing, and it takes him a bit.
Wave off the steam on top of
Okay,
his head.
friend Lynn, I go and I take a bath.
Well, wait for clothes to take with you.
Oh,
to
wait
change
for
into.
clothes.
Yes,
Wait
yes.
for clothes. And he just kind of, he's already halfway to the door. He stops. Wait for clothes.
Yes.
He sits down.
Yeah. The city hall is probably closed at this hour, so it's most likely something meant for the morning. So, the show continues through the night. You know, the drunken bear cheers like definitely seem to like, and some rumor that there was apparently like a bear involved in the show. You know, brings in a little bit larger crowd that night than normal.
The rumor changes depending on who you ask.
There are some people who say it got cut at the last minute.
Um, as everyone's kind of like going off and doing their own thing. Actually, I'll leave it to towards like when they're about to split. If there's nothing else for
The big question is, what did Hans find for Gav to wear?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yes.
I'll wait for a bit of a break in the plan. Slip backstage, see if we can find anything.
Yeah, like the actresses are happy to disappear into the back room with Hans and go through clothes.
Let the rumors begin.
Yep.
They've already begun. Gertrude probably has many candidates.
She
by
already
now.
So they have.
She already knows.
Is Hans trying to do anything particular for Gav, like trying to dress him up particularly much, or just trying to make him presentable, but obviously of like the social class that he is?
I mean, I would say if we have nice looking stuff, make him pretty presentable. I wouldn't want to like kind of put him out of his element. Like I don't want to give him like a full suit or something, because I feel like that would make him a bit uncomfortable. But pretty decent looking clothes. Yeah, if we got some.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of it is like donated. Obviously, not a lot of it is like tailored to his size. You know what I'm saying? But large is a fairly common background in Eisen, so you know, they're definitely able to like do some work. It's kind of like a mismatch. You know, some of it is like, you know, from like a military tale or something like that. But they're able to make it work. And improvisation is kind of the heart of a lot of what they do as far as costuming goes. So
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Run
Okay.
downstairs.
So I'm gonna cut to the next like few days, but I want to give people some chance to do some things, whether it's like follow up on stuff or prepare for a potential heist. heist.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go around and kind of like see what everybody is doing with that time. I think we're gonna pick up on Sunday, which is like the day of the big feast. And we'll start with Len.
There are a couple of things. You know, Len will definitely get together to kind of plan things. Though it seems like the plan right now is at least. Actually, he'll take some time to actually, as long as he's told where it is, to scout a bit the building that it's supposed to be. The book is supposed to be held in. See if there's accessible windows for something cat or owl sized, for example. Anything like that.
Your otter and your cat form could definitely slip into a few places in the building itself.
Perfect. That's pretty much all the planning we can do. If there's not really going to be any guards around, we don't need to necessarily know about guard rotations.
At the moment there are a lot of guards. And it looks like the book or whatever it is not the only thing that is being kept within. Like you stick your head into just enough of the kind of like outer hallway to realize, you know, it is heavily guarded at the moment. It would most certainly be an intense fight getting in here at the time. Does that make sense?
And he'll actually even just probably like over a day or two, as long as it's not too taxing, kind of get them used to seeing a stray cat.
They are already used to it. There
Okay.
are dozens of them throughout the city. Like in any
Okay.
district you go to, you could literally like walk to a corner and adopt a cat. And
Okay. Or be adopted by one. Perfect. And then he won't spend the time on that. Then as soon as he's established that he could get in, he'll let's see. He'll do that. He'll be happy to start teaching Rosa and or Runa to read and write if they'd like. So
Little
'cause,
class.
you know, and otherwise he'll check in on Runa, make sure that she's comfortable, doesn't need anything, is still recovering from wounds, and on Gav mostly.
To subtly hint, because Rosa hasn't said anything yet while Len is teaching, if Runa sees a, like, if she, like when she's learning to read, if she sees a word that she doesn't recognize, she's gonna look to Rosa and be like, what's this word? What does it mean?
Every time she asks, Rosa, like, still learning how to read.
Yeah.
She'll read it out loud.
Yeah, and then Rosa will be like, "Oh," and she'll tell her the English version and also the Vidachi version.
the
The
Eisen and
Eisen and
Vidachi
the
version.
Vidachi?
Eisen
Yeah.
and Vidachi.
English
Len
was
is-
the language we spoke when we had that weird little omen spell thing, so nobody knew what we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
everyone heard. Everyone
Yeah.
heard English and they were like, huh?
Dasi's
So
Das.
quick question, what is the source material Len is teaching them off of? Is it the plays that they have at the playwright? Because there are like stacks of them. They have like file cabinets full of like plays to perform.
Unless he can find like a good primer, then he'll use the plays.
The majority of those who are being taught to read, it's usually there's either a reading primer, or in some cases they'll teach, like if they're trying to teach, I don't have it in front of me, I think it's like Theodosian, which is like the world's version of Latin, which is used to teach the Bible. That's how many who learn to read or get started.
Okay,
But if
so-
it's just via plays, go ahead and give me, I'll let all three of you guys as you're looking, make a wits roll. And any kind of like searching investigation thing that you think is appropriate, you can add it.
22.
Whoops. I hit the button again. I forgot it. doesn't
28.
do the thing.
I have 2 wits. I got a 22.
I have 3.
10. Len's too busy teaching.
Yeah, Len's too busy trying to like, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not going to read that scene out loud to them.
No, he'll read it out loud. Len
All right.
doesn't have a lot of shame, as
All right.
unless they're like, "Hey, this is uncomfortable," and we're like, "Okay." Well,
They seem to have
Yeah.
collected every body play that they can find, like made a point of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If it's unacceptable for high society, then the Playhouse wants it. So in the course of that investigation, though,
He unleashed his throbbing. Wait.
we're not acting that out on stage. Okay. No, but one of the things that you do find, who wants to go first as far as finding something, Runa or Rosa?
Should we go in the in the order of rolls just to make it easier?
Yeah.
Sure. Len's not finding anything, and then Runa got the 22, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You find a play that had been discussed before. I'm looking for my handouts real quick. Sorry.
The lusty Argonian maid.
So there had been a mention of, oh my God, where did I put this?
Windows,
Oh, there it is.
windows, windows.
Player handouts.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the play where everybody was murdered for showing
Oh,
it.
that one.
I like that Rosa is helping Runa learn more Aizen, but also teaching her a bit of Adachi.
Yep. Len's picking it up too. That may be the next language I grab.
This swear word is more fun in Vadachi.
Oh yeah, just, it would be like a
And then
Okay.
as we're teaching each other languages.
yes.
Yes.
Because
a
when
full
you say
share.
the word in Aizen and Vadachi, Runa goes, ah, and says the word invested.
And then
So-
Len goes, ah, and says it Lusarian.
So
I'm just gonna know all
specifically,
languages.
crap, I just had it. So there had been
Yes,
a mention
verbal
in the
potluck.
letter of to Monsieur Gabriel Dupay, which had been the kind of like pseudonym that they'd been using for General Montague, because it was a reference to a specific character from another play. Does that make sense? You have they have a copy of the other play. It had been banned in Montaigne, but apparently, like the play itself had gotten out, and there's a copy of it.
Runa is like, guys, I found the play.
The
The play.
Oh.
Now I have to.
Now we can well Senor Len, Signore,
Hmm.
please read.
Okay.
I'd like to
Might be getting a
imagine
little-
that Rosa and Runa have their like legs crossed and their heads resting in their hands, like
In
just
my
listening.
in my head,
Questions.
it's like a papal version of the aristocrats joke.
So the
He's like,
play,
"Did I
as
just
you're
rip
reading
my
it, it
shirt
takes a
off?"
while to kind of like understand like what it meant. Actually, it might even require consulting with your Montaigne friend as to why the emperor found it so offensive. So the core idea of it is that there is a character who is a street like florist. She like just sells flowers on the streets of Charus. And two noblemen make a wager about her. And the wager specifically is that they can teach her to pass for a Montaigne noblewoman. They're arguing about like the sorts of like merits of nobility, right? And one of the noblemen, he's like a master linguist, and he teaches her like not just the how to like speak in such a way that she can go passing in Montaigne court, but all of the appropriate fashion, all of they completely like Hollywood makeover her and stuff like that. And she is so beautiful and popular under this coaching that she becomes engaged into a member of the royal family. And the person who taught her himself falls in love with her. It's meant to be sort of like a, like a tragic romance and stuff like that. And it ends with the noble who had made the bet with his friend killing his friend so as to like hide the evidence from his past. Does that make sense? And then like beseeching her to like take me, I love you, you know what I'm saying? He's fallen in love with his creation in sort of like in the way of Adonis, right?
I have watched this movie.
Um, and she like denies him and he kills himself. The end.
Hmm. Yeah, though I do not see what is very romantic. I thought it would be so dirty I should have read it with my shirt off. Thankfully, that was not the case. But it's
Love should not be so complicated.
See,
many things should not be so complicated. But matters of the heart are often going to be tangled.
So for some clarification, Gabrielle Dupay is the woman that is like made into a noble. Does that make sense? The Dupay is like the sort of anonymous marker. And that's explained during the course of the story. General Montague, the name that she was given was Gabrielle Dupay, like the male version of somebody faking themselves, faking nobility.
Mhm.
Are you guys speaking to Gerard about this?
We're definitely being
will.
sure.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Hey Jerry, I got something you want to watch.
So what is your question regarding this?
Why would it be?
Why is it
Why is it
bad?
so terrible that everybody would be killed who's involved with it?
It seems just very sad.
It is a it is a story that takes power away from Le Emperor. It is a story that says anyone can choose to be a noble.
That's true for Vestal.
Not true for Montenay.
Hmm.
Mm.
Interesting.
Le Emperor decides if you are a noble or if you are not a noble. And to take that for oneself is to defy Le Emperor.
Hmm.
I would wonder, is it possible also that one of the players in this actual real drama may not be what they seem?
No, it is very much so. And at this, he switches to Varachi. Varachi. I know I'm saying it right. I'm just not pronouncing it right. Senora Rosa,
See,
what is your intention with this book? Not this one. The one from the church. I have no problems stealing from papacy. They are fools and idiots.
Runa and
You
Len
mentioned-
understanding every couple words.
Idiot, I know that one.
But before I can proceed, I must know what your intention is with the royal family.
it. The book is of the Signora Lorenzo.
I am not
And
familiar with this name.
it is in Vadachi culture, it is a book of danger. It can tell of it is the journal of the strongest Strega ever. And I just want to see if it says anything about clouding vision to protect the mother and child from danger. Nothing more. I do not wish to
Then you have-
follow in Senora Lorenzo's feet ever.
Ah,
Then you
feet.
have my blade.
And it would have been very obvious to Gerard. Rosa got almost defensive in her statement of I will never be like Senora Lorenzo.
And with that, Gerard pulls his rapier, holds it before her. Then you have my blade.
Grazie.
Hey, Gerard, do you
Okay.
want a drama die for your hubris activating?
Why not?
You have my blade and my boar spear and Gav's fists.
And my
Nice
lightning.
blade. And some lightning. No bows though.
Was that
That was
yes?
not my that is a yes. Was not my intention, but I will take it.
You got it. It's doing it again, dude. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So let's take the moment to kind of go through. Rosa, any downtime stuff that you want to?
Yeah, so whenever this happens, probably about a day later, she's gonna go to Runa to just talk to Runa. You said you are cursed, see?
I did also say it was complicated.
Curses are complicated.
With your magic, are you able to look into that at all?
I don't know. I may be not strong enough yet.
Hmm.
The reason I say is you are not the only one who is cursed.
I'm gonna like let her come in and like I just did you I'd assume we're just like in Runa's room, like her space.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just so or is Garrett at work? No, he works at home. He makes clocks. I'd like to just invoke Omen so our conversation's a bit more private.
Go ahead and just make another roll real quick.
18.
That is enough to activate it, I believe. We can start at number 15.
Continue.
It is.
The other day, Gerard asked me about the book.
Mm.
This book is not just the reason I can find it. It is technically related to me.
Hmm.
It is probably very obvious. Rosa Nix is not my name. It is not Wadachi name at all.
What
it
is your name, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to share.
I do not use it for my safety.
Similar to the reason why I've never told anyone my last name.
You need to speak up just a little bit louder.
Same reason why no one knows my last name.
My family, and again, she takes off her mask in front of you. My family was murdered by the Inquisition for being Strega. Not just Strega, Lorenzo.
Runa gives you a hug.
Yeah, this time it's not as, she does not go as stiff. She's getting used to the hugs.
And you will continue to get used to them, damn it.
You're gonna like it.
And one day you're gonna hug me.
And she just, I wanted someone to know in case I am captured. If they find out I am Lorenzo, they would burn me without question.
I have no intention of letting that happen.
Neither
So
do
I
I.
will go with you to find the book.
We should not have as many people go. The less we have, the sneakier we can be.
How can I make myself useful?
With the feast, keep as many guards there as possible. The more, the better.
Yes.
If we keep that going and loud and raucous and get the, how they say, partying, we may just be able to force the guards' hands and focus there much more than on us.
I can do that.
Grazie. I needed someone to know that if this goes wrong, it is my life.
Then it won't go wrong.
I have not had a friend before, and I think you are my first. So grazie.
Runa hugs her tighter than she did before.
That was like the closest you're gonna get with like a hug.
It is an honor to be your friend.
It is an honor of mine to have you.
All right. So, I'm gonna move to Gav because I do kind of have a scene in mind with him, but then I do want to get everybody some downtime opportunities. So, they have, you know, plenty of clothes that can kind of definitely like clean you up, you know, morning after, so time for a bath and everything. The trip to the city hall is, you know, uneventful. And the city seems to be very abuzz with like the tale that there's going to be like some feast provided by the church this Sunday. There's like a level of disbelief about it. And you having been, you know, here so long and knowing how most of like the people from outside of the city are treated when they come in is like practically intruders until they have a job or a place to live inside of the city. It's definitely wild and newsworthy. The city hall itself is as busy as you saw it before. And Wilma kind of, you know, she's busy like dealing with people who have matters before her. She's in a sort of a way like a court unto herself. Nobody gets to like have anything done without paying for it. But the amount that they pay depends really upon their need as much as if it's good for the city, then Wilma will try to make sure that that amount that they pay is reasonable. And if it's something that she doesn't think, then they're gonna probably pay more for it than they would have to pay just by hiring mercenaries or whatever they wanted to do outside of her domain. But she, you know, she kind of gestures you off into a side room, and she kind of looks you over like a little bit surprised at like the effort that you have gone to in your presentation today. She says you've cleaned up very well.
I have been told it is good manners.
She says, if you don't mind my asking, do you have a last name or are you just Gav to everyone?
Gav Othgreen.
Othgren.
Yeah, Othgren.
She smiles and she kind of draws out the little card you made for the rat catchers. She says, did you draw this?
I did.
She says, are you employed with them?
And he's trying to like, because he's been thinking a lot lately, so he's like trying to think about what he thought. When Lario and Luigi are given job that requires more brawn than skill, then they call me and I fight sewer monsters and kobolds for them. And the people pay them money.
So you are a contractor of a kind.
Sure.
She says, you do not have a full-time employment, but when they need you, they call upon you.
Yes.
That is what a contractor is. She says, I'm wondering if I could contract your services from time to time.
What do you need?
She says, largely it's running things around the city. She says, but I understand you both know the city well and you've lived here your entire life. Says you're also not somebody who looks apt to be mugged as a child might be.
People have tried.
She says, I have a few things, she says, that I would like to be sent to one Guy Orwell. Do you know him?
I am not good with names.
She kind of nods in understanding. Guy Weil is he lives over in the Drucken Nest. He is a man of some means, though I don't believe he's noble. I believe he's just inherited a good deal of wealth. And the majority of that wealth he has spent for the orphans of the city. Says,
He is good man.
I think so. And at the very least, I know that he is not, his funds are not endless. She says, I've created something of a care package for him, a token of my esteem that I would very much like to see gets to him. Says the trouble is that you might have to work to find him. I take it, I understand that he is prone to climbing up onto rooftops for lengths of time.
I will see what I can do. I have report to make today. And then I have work on Sunday for the church.
She says, are you assisting there?
I believe so.
She says, then if you would take a second message as well, to the Knights of the Rosencross, a simple message that Wilma would take it as a personal favor if they would offer their assistance at the church as well on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, he's gonna do that.
She's like, do you need me to write that down?
Yes.
And she does.
Very emphatic, yes.
Yeah, it's a very quick, she seals it and hands it to you.
Is there anything else you need, Frau Probst?
She says, no. She says, for each week that you are such in my service, she says, I'll offer you 10 guilder. She says, is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah, and she gives you a bag with the 10 guilder up front.
Nods, takes it, puts it next to his other coin purse, which is probably hidden in his jacket, if I'm being honest. And once Wilma kind of she has other things to attend to, he heads to the Explorers Guild. He has a report to make.
Okay. Are you getting the backpack of
Yeah, of Roland's effects.
Okay. The Explorers Guild is I believe that it's in the Stone of the Philosopher, the Stein de Weisen, which is a very rich and affluent area. One of the few in the city. Most of the things that are there are kind of like experiences for people who have money. I mean, there are restaurants and things like that, but not so much in the sense of trades. Like they're not offering people actually, no, they have clothing and weapon shops as well. But the things they're most noted for is kind of like their high-end restaurants and that sort of thing, as well as cigar shops, etc. The Explorer Society building is one of the nicest. It's a former noble's house that was donated to the society. And within, just crossing through the threshold, your hand kind of feels like it buzzes. There's kind of almost like an energy to it. As if you had too much energy in it all of a sudden. Does that make sense?
Starts twitching.
Yeah. And kind of when you're not
feeling.
When you're not really thinking about it, so the fingers of it, where they're connected to the joints, you have seen them occasionally tuck back between the tarsals of the skeletal hand. Does that make sense? And they kind of spin through it, just
So
a
the fingers
windmill.
have retracted, kind of.
Well, it's more like they're just sort of like spinning through your palm idly.
Hmm.
And whenever you think about it, it just goes back to doing whatever you tell it to do.
Yeah.
But
Just occasionally he like scratches at it because it's itchy.
there are a number of people that are here. There's like a bar in one side of it that seems to be like Explorer Society only, that you can hear somebody very drunken and boisterously telling what you immediately identify as the fish story of like, the biggest ruin you've ever seen.
Yeah.
That
The
kind of thing.
kobolds do not get that big.
And there's a moment where you're kind of trying to like get your bearing. There's a lot of artifacts that are up and on display that
He's
they're
never actually
wildly
been
different.
here.
Yeah, like this is like the Explorer Society is kind of a place like known for nobles to patron. And there's somebody at the front that's kind of like, are you looking for employment, sir?
Yeah, he actually has to think about that for a second because, it's like, technically already employed and technically not. I have news of Herr Forscher's the trip to fight the big snake.
He says, I thought that expedition but completely wiped out.
It did. I was there.
Oh my. And he rises. He says, if you'll follow me, please. And he heads to a back office and he knocks on the door first, and a woman's voice kind of like, come in. If Wilma Probst had a Montaigne sister, it would be Madeline Dubussette. She's got like little half glasses. She looks completely like old business. She has a very lovely Montaigne dress. But she also has like a desk and like a workplace that just screams efficiency. And I work twice as hard as anybody else around me. Does that make sense? And the man kind of comes in and says, this is Madeline Dubussette. She's the head of the Explorer Society here at Shrews. She says, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't catch your name.
Gav.
This is Gav. He was part of, and she kind of like part of Roland's team. Just as I had no idea that you survived.
Barely.
And she rises and offers a hand.
Okay, hold on. Yep. He reaches out with the Cernef hand.
And she kind of pauses as she sees it. And she just kind of puts a hand on your wrist and like turns and looks at it. She's like, this is his.
Da. I watched him go.
Was it
we
quick?
were overrun.
Says, I know Roland to charge fearlessly into many a ruin. He was eager to find new information and new knowledge for us, eager to expand the borders of our understanding of the world. He will be sorely missed.
He was a good man.
Are these his effects?
Da. And he kind of lifts it up and I guess sets it on a chair on the far side of the desk.
She says, I believe you were promised payment for the expedition.
I am very sorry there is no body to bring back.
And I understand that the creature in question survives.
There was nothing we could do. Pike and muskets did nothing.
It is not normally the nature of the Explorer Society to take contracts on specific creatures. We were asked to do so because we have a number of experts in our ranks. This has been a lesson learned in a policy of the Explorer Society will not be changing.
I have one more unfortunate piece of information. There may be a second.
Says, two of the monsters in question.
Da.
That is unfortunate.
If we still had the army, I would suggest making sure there's nothing left. If you could
Says-
cast fire from the sky, that would be best. Burn the place to the ground.
Says artillery, I believe, may be the next choice. I will convey the message to Konungrik Hilgrund that we will not be continuing with the contract and that we have advised more extreme measures in ridding the world of these pests.
It cannot be fought in its own terrain. It is practically invisible. It hides in the water, it comes out of nowhere. It is 100 feet long, yet we barely saw it.
She sits back at her desk and you see her writing rapidly as you're describing all of these qualities about it.
Yeah, and while he's relaying the horrors that he saw, his Cernith hand is just gripping on whatever he's holding. He's just, and it's visibly shaking.
She kind of turns to the man who walked you in and she's like, would you get Mr. Gav something to eat and a bottle of wine? Would you take a seat? I'd like to get everything that you remember of the encounter.
Yeah, he plops into a chair and basically from when they first started seeing the mushrooms right up until he watched Roland die. And he doesn't explain that one other than there's nothing left to bury.
Yep. You see, actually, go ahead and give me a wits roll to just get a read on Madeline de Bissett.
7.
Okay. She's like a stone. Um, like she seems just all business at the moment of like getting everything recorded. But at the end of it, she does kind of like she touches the backpack and she's like, I will make sure that you are compensated for the expedition. She says, and I deeply appreciate you bringing this back.
If it is all right with you, I would like to keep the hand.
I don't intend to remove it from you. She says, there's only one way those things come off.
That's all I have left.
Thank you for bringing this. Just the hand is yours. And I would like to be able to reach out to you in the future if we could use your services again. And if you have no wish to be associated with the Explorer Society again, I completely understand.
If it is all the same to Explorer Society, I would like to not leave the city again. If you need my help in the sewers, I know the sewers, but I am not leaving these walls if I don't have to.
It's very understandable. Well, are you good at filing?
I cannot read.
She kind of nods in understanding. The amount that she has brought to Gav, I think I don't remember what he had promised Gav for by way of payment.
I don't remember either.
I think it was like 300. right?
It was a decent amount. It's definitely
It was like more than he'd seen in a while.
Mhm,
Because he's
ever.
used to, yeah. She brings 600 guilder to him.
This is a lot of money.
There was a lot paid for the expedition, and you brought back at least some additional knowledge about a very dangerous creature, and you bore great hardship. The Explorer Society is very well funded, and the information alone that you've brought us, others will pay for.
He pauses and he's like, if I may ask one more thing. Herr Forscher taught me many things on the road. They, he called it Gelingen. If there is room and I have time, I would like to know more.
Good.
Then I will leave you to your work. You are very busy.
Just as I am, but this definitely took precedence today.
Have a lovely day.
The other package that you have for Guywell.
Yeah.
Is he heading for that afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a criminal check. This is actually just city navigation and kind of knowing which roofs are to be avoided and which one somebody could actually be up on for a while.
I just upped my criminal too.
Oh, excellent.
Keep wits, I'm assuming.
Yes.
That is a 15.
So it doesn't take all that long. There's a certain sort of kind of like, why would somebody be up on a roof for many hours? You know, whether it's like for privacy or something else. And it's just kind of like a moment of inspiration that, you know, you climb up on one of the roofs in that overlooks Der Wachtturm, and looks like towards the rest of the city, and find a man up on top of it, a man with an easel who is busy painting the landscape of the Freiburg across the river. He's like so absorbed, he seems completely unaware of Gav. And Gav, looking at the painting, you haven't seen like work of this quality up close before.
He's intensely staring, just watching how he, builds upon what look like smudges, turns them into buildings, takes a blue splotch and turns it into a river with a boat nearby. He's like, you are very good.
There's sort of like a and then a and like palette and like paintbrush kind of go up in the air. And he looks like he's about to tumble off the side of the building. He was not
Gav's big
expecting a
hand.
gap there. Go ahead and make a finesse roll real quick. Just
Oh.
Can I add free raise involving grapple
yeah,
to make that a
absolutely.
little bit easier? So finesse, and then free raise lets me keep another. Or how does that work?
Gives you another 5. Just
Another
adds
5.
5 to it.
Okay. Oh, that's not where that's going. So with the +5, that is a 25.
All right. You managed to get it before he tumbles over the side. Even managed to kind of like catch one of the paintbrushes with the other hand. The palette that he was using to paint off of is, the paint's kind of spattered across the rooftop. But he kind of like, I don't have any money on me.
I am not here to rob you. I am here to deliver package.
He kind of like blinks and he's like, oh, my apologies. I'm sorry. You are a intimidating figure.
I get that a lot.
A gentle giant, really.
He kind of like, I'm terribly sorry. Thank you. He kind of gets his balance and
Gav hands him his paintbrush, and it's like, is this for someone, or you do this for yourself?
he says, oh, there's some who've been interested in purchasing my paintings. Says, Most people who, when they want to purchase a painting, though, they want something specific. They want their daughter captured and looking beautiful, or says something that makes them look imposing to put upon the family wall. I just says the city is beautiful in its own way.
And he kind of turns to take in the view that this guy did, and he's like, "I've never seen this from up here."
Says art and life are about perspective sometimes.
He nods like he understood that. And then, oh, package, yes. This is for you from Frau Wilma Probst.
Yeah, the package kind of like opens up. It looks like it's got paints and like some like rolled up parchments that could be made into easel or into, you know, paintings for frames and stuff like that. Don't when he opens it up, you realize that your card is pinned to the inside of it.
Hey, I recognize that.
And he kind of pulls it out and he looks at it and he says, well, says the perspective is a little off. He says, but there's talent here.
Nigel does not make for a good subject. He moves around too much.
He says, did you do this?
Ah.
Hmm.
Took a long time and many pieces of charcoal.
He kind of smiles and he takes it and he pins it to the top of his easel and he kind of moves and he puts a new canvas up. And he kind of said, like, all right, try this the next time you're painting Nigel. And we'll cut from there, but like he is actually going to start teaching him like art in a formal way, in the actual kind of like the things that he never got as he was learning and teaching himself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Things like perspective, light, you know, shading.
Yeah, he sits there. He just forgets about the rest of his day.
Okay. Yeah, and by the end of the day, he's definitely certainly forgotten that, you know, you startled him at first. Like he just knows you as like an artist now, and like that's literally all he seems to think of you as. So we're gonna move to the others now. But okay, so Hans, what is Hans busying himself with over the next few days?
I've got two ideas. One's kind of just a passive thing. I want to keep an eye out, passing through the market every so often to see if I can, just to see if that like the weird girl who was painting ever pops up again.
Yeah,
because that was weird.
Go ahead and make a wits roll.
Where's my wits? There it is. I don't think I can have anything. I don't think there's really much I can add. Do you think would keen senses count?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. 16.
Okay. Usually catch her on the route out of the market, but she hasn't spotted you. She seems to be heading home or whatnot, and you see that she herself also has some art supplies kind of like bundled up and held to her chest.
Does she seem to be like rushing away from anything?
No, not today. Today she just seems to be heading on a course towards her home.
Interesting.
Or wherever she intends to go next.
I won't bother her for today. She seemed a little out of sorts.
Sure. Do you yeah, it's entirely possible to follow her, but if you're just leaving her alone, then you definitely have the impression that this is a place that she frequents regularly. And they realize that it's like the exact circle where you were like first approached by Benoit and given the coat.
I realize that. Maybe I will follow briefly.
Okay. Let's go ahead and make this a finesse roll with any criminal or like hunter survival stealthiness that you have available to you.
That is something I have not invested in yet.
Hans no sneak.
Not yet. He's mostly good at running really fast.
Okay.
Legs for days.
Right, where's my finesse? Okay. Don't need it apparently. 21. Not bad.
Okay. So you see her, she goes into, it's not one of Gertrude's houses. And in fact, it's you actually have to like leave the dragon nest and head into the riverfront. It's definitely like a lower income area of the riverfront. Um, and you see she does kind of like pause at one point to kind of like look around. She doesn't look like she's looking for you. She specifically sort of looks in the direction of what you think is the landlord's home. And then kind of crouches down and like goes under her. She's like crouching down enough that like the fence around her little townhouse would stop the view of anyone seeing her return home. You see her, she kind of like reaches up to the door handle and like opens the door and pushes it open. And when she does, you see there is a mural that you can see on the inside wall of her townhouse. The perspective takes you a moment to realize it because you realize that you are looking up at yourself from the perspective of if you were on the ground.
What?
You're also mid-stride, as if you were in the middle of running fast.
Huh. I'm gonna kind of pause for a second and then kind of try and nonchalantly kind of split off in a different direction after taking notice of that, and just make a mental note of that interesting little fact I've just discovered.
Okay. What is the other thing that you'd like to do?
Other thing, I would like to venture out back into the shanty town, into Despair, at some point, probably a little bit closer to the day of the feast. I want to see if I can find where Otto and can I get the other guy's name? I forget.
Not Adrian.
I write it down somewhere.
I don't think I did.
I don't think I did either. Damn. He gets a new name then.
Henry is the name, Sergeant Henry.
Okay, there we go.
Or actually, no, he was just Henry, but he was taking care of Sergeant Otto. Sorry.
Right. That guy. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna go out and just like find where they were staying, converse a bit, and then let them know if they haven't already caught wind of the announcement for like the big mass and feast, and let them know that there's gonna be good food there.
He kind of like, is it for real? Or we're thinking of some sort of trick. Sometimes people make offers to people out here and they're just intending to lure them off for something foul.
From what I've seen, I've spoken to one of the men of the cloth at the cathedral. He seems real. He's in fact, it's apparently he's planning. It is so busy that he was looking around for more backup guards, and I volunteered.
Like, is it a paying thing? Could they use more hands?
It's not paying, but you still get a solid meal out of it.
So they're feeding the orphans too. And he points to Otto when he says that. You've heard the slang term before for the Wassen being called orphans.
I don't see why not. As long as they're able to get to the cathedral, there should be, from the talk I've heard from the men I spoke to, there should be plenty of food to go around for anyone who's able to make it. As long as we can kind of keep everyone from going a little bit too crazy over it.
As you're kind of talking to him, you notice, so you look back in the tent where Otto is, and it looks like part of his head has been, like, his hair has been shaved short. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It's a really like rough thing. It doesn't look like somebody was like giving him a haircut. It looks like somebody like maybe tried to like pull his hair out or
What happened to him back there? It looks like his hair was
uh
ripped out or something.
Yeah, and you see Henry's face kind of curls. He says, there are monsters in that city. He says,
Indeed.
some barber is offering, he says, money for hair so he can make wigs for rich people. He says he doesn't ask questions about how people get it.
But
He says, I've heard, he says, there's people out here scalping people in their sleep.
stand this. Yeah, monsters indeed.
Says, I wish I had the money, he says, to hire somebody to give that barber a haircut.
I mean, that's good. Something I could look into. No need for the money. Cause alone is payment enough for me.
Well, thank you for
Just,
coming out to tell us about the feast. We'll
course.
give it a shot.
and I will be there as well. If you'd like, I can even come out on the day of it. I can escort the two of you in, give you a little bit of extra presence and protection from these.
We've got, you know,
despicable people.
some of us still have our blades, says all of us still have our dignity. This will help if we can.
It's good to keep both, especially the blades now these days. I will come back more often. I'll come check on you guys more often.
You hear word of any paying gigs in town, pass them on.
Of course. I may have a couple of leads. I will come back in 2 days' time, let you know.
He nods.
I'll let you know how much money I have. But I'll give him at least a little bit of gilder just out of my whatever little coin purse I'm carrying around, just a little extra help.
Says it's appreciated. He says, I guess he says all of the restaurants, he says near the edge of town, he says bakeries and everything, he says all of them, he says they're making food for this thing. He says, been a little harder, he says, to get a meal. So it's,
Yeah, demand is high and already short. That's the one thing that's worried me about this.
he
whole
says,
thing.
the good thing is some of these places are hiring more bakers, he says, more cooks. Says, so maybe it'll just be a temporary thing.
Hopefully, we need to bring in more as well. It's a different story.
Yeah.
But
You kind of see, like, as you're talking to him, you see like a man is watching you that's wearing a tabard with a rose and cross on it. You've seen them out here before, the Knights of the Rose and Cross. He just like he looks like for a moment like he's just assessing, like, okay, they're just talking, there's no trouble here, but and then carries on. But it is the closest thing you've seen to a guard out here ever.
give him a polite nod. And go about my business, and I'll check in with these guys a little bit later. I think I will ask at the inquiry about potential jobs. I may go ask Wilma about any other staffers we may need for our new council potentially.
She could have studied someone's for a minute. Let me do like a quick check-in. So we're like 10 minutes from 2.5 hours. Are people okay to go a little longer tonight?
This is a really cool session so far. I'm having a lot of
Okay,
fun.
cool. I just want to double check before I assume. I know sometimes people are in pain and it's like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
wrap this up. So so Wilma says she says, I wish I had more jobs here in City Hall than I do. She says, but I have actually just gotten a request from Captain Loring. And he had asked to speak to the council, and I promised to give him the opportunity. It might be easier if you simply go and seek him out. He says he's at the guardhouse that is across the way.
Much appreciated. I will go ask him.
Loring is the inventor of the Loring style, which you've seen many of the guards use. It's the double panzer hand style that's designed for restraining people. You don't really know much about him, like, beyond that. But you know, anybody who invents a swordsmanship school is usually a fairly fierce customer.
Indeed.
Let me just the city hall. So you've run into the guards in several places outside of this area, and they're a reflection of the neighborhood that they're in. In nicer areas, they tend to be more polite, more civil. In the poor areas, they tend to be outright thugs. Does that make sense? If not, like, practically criminals unto themselves. Most of them understand that they get their money from the community, but they're not afraid to extort money in the moment if somebody actually wants something done.
Mm-hmm.
So Vasya is his name. He's a very short-haired man. He's got huge arms and broad shoulders, and an abundance of scars from fights. You're shown into his office, and he rises, shakes your hand. He says, "You're on Wilma's little council, yes?"
Indeed. Yeah.
She said that you guys are very good at getting things done, he says, and I am hoping that I can enlist your service in a matter.
Pretty good at most things, I would say. If it involves a blade or, as it were, it's a hand. It's my specialty.
Says, have you been down to the river, or not the riverfront? Have you been down to Finehearth of late?
Not as much. Don't typically pass around that area.
He says, it's the most troubled area of the city inside the city itself. It says people have built houses 5 times the size of what they should be. It says, and crammed in twice as many as they should to that kind of place. So he kind of takes a breath. I have reasons to believe that the guard captain there is involved with the slavery problem here in the city.
Let's see.
Says, I could use some proof of that.
Sounds like something I could take care of.
I can't dismiss a guard captain on rumor alone, but if he is involved, this is serious and it needs to be put to an end.
Of course. It's despicable. Ugh.
Says, that's what I need. He says, and obviously discretion, the guards will not be happy if one of their own.
Yeah. Not take kindly to someone poking around. Sounds like a fun challenge. Take you up on that. Is there anything else I should know about the guard captain? Maybe any potential unsavory connections, there are theories about.
His name is Adrian, says Mueller. He was a mercenary and a sales sword for a while. He says kicked around Montaigne for a bit. Says he came with some good recommendations, but I have the sense he's more interested in lining his pockets, he says, than serving the city of Freeburg.
Getting more and more common. Well, I'll get to work.
Yeah, and he clasps your hand. He has a very strong grip. You get the impression that he is not a former military person. like, which is pretty unusual in his position.
Yeah.
But first read seems to be fairly upright, you know what I'm saying? Like interested in doing a good job at the city. And Wilma has vouched for him in your presence before, so
Yeah. Seems like a pretty good dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I'll make a bit of investigation,
Okay.
some extra stuff. Do a little bit of that.
Are you just
don't wanna
taking
take up like
going
too much
down to
more
the
of the-
Kinderhearth and asking questions and stuff?
I may go kind of, may just spend a bit more time between now and the Sunday mass, kind of in the general area, observing. May check out the things to do in the area as kind of a guise for why I hang out, just as a
So this is
have
an
some
area.
level of a cover story, basically.
This is the area that Gerard actually got into the fight in kind of his opening, where he was harassed by workers. You know, they weren't ready for a trained swordsman, but
Mhm.
it was by virtue of, you know, somebody like looking into their employer, the area.
Yeah.
So it's a rough and tumble neighborhood. It is a working class neighborhood, but it is also a neighborhood that like the streets are packed day and night. Um, there's oftentimes people like slipping in from despair that are like sleeping in the gutters and stuff like that and get kicked out in the morning by guards. Literally kicked out. Oftentimes they're kicked hard enough that like their ribs are broken as a warning. But
Jeez.
the brutality only deters necessity so much. It is one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. It's also a walking fire hazard. Like just looking around, you're like, those buildings are right next to each other, right next to each other, right next to each other, right next,
Oh.
all built out of wood
Oh,
and
no.
plaster and like thatch roofs. And then they're like
Oh.
5 floors tall.
Jeez. It's a whole neighborhood of kindling.
Gav mentioned this is where he would live if he has a place to sleep with the rat catchers. The rat catchers are based here.
That makes sense.
I thought they were in the Lucifer for some reason. But yeah, no, that makes more sense.
Yeah, they are here, and their basement is one of the nicer residences in this area, even with all the rat friends you make there.
It's safe because of the rat friends.
So, for time wise, I'll let you make one roll with what investigative skill would you like to apply here? Do you have one?
I don't have a ton of investigation necessarily. I haven't gotten too far into the purchasing of new stuff. Let me see if I got anything else. I mean, it's kind of a,
Well, bear in mind, skills are often just about kind of defining your approach. So if you have like a command skill of some kind, or like that can be like, I'm trying to find out from the
Okay.
mercenaries if they know anything, etc.
yeah, I kind of cobbled together. If I could use like combination of keen senses just to like keep my head on a swivel, and then do you think I could throw strategist in to?
I will let you if you want to try to like seek out some former military people that are in the area.
Yeah, sure. Probably have a decent luck with them at least.
Okay.
And that was wits base.
Yes.
It's just kind of one in each of those. 16.
Okay. One of the things that you quickly pick up is that while they're very low key about it, there's a very high rate of employment for those with some military background down here. The guards, of course, all have some experience with it. Adrian has largely hired men with experience from the military. But there's also, you have seen mercenary companies kind of like forming and stuff like that. And like there is a bond of different mercenaries in this area that are being hired for the same purpose and treating each other like members of a mercenary band, but not outwardly showing that they're a mercenary band.
Okay.
That is extremely unusual because mercenary groups live and die by their reputation. One trying to hide that they have formed into like an organization, very, it's either criminal, like highly criminal, but a criminal group that needs a lot of soldiers, or it's something else. And it's suspicious as hell, like to the point where what you might have normally gone after them to like question them, you're like, this is giving me the bad vibes.
Yeah, it's like, probably should have.
So I'm going to call that for
focused.
kind of amount of time that you have to look into things and move over to Runa. What are you up to in this week besides some playwright or some play reading?
And learning and teaching of different languages.
You will be able to heal your dramatic wounds so long as you're kind of taking it easy during this
Yeah.
time.
She's taking it easy for sure. There are a few things I want to do. Most of them are pretty quick.
Okay.
She wants to look in on both Gris and Joran.
Okay. You're gonna give me a roll for each of them.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait. Let me just check something real quick. Okay. Go ahead.
24.
Which one is this to?
Gris.
Okay. So content warning, slavery. This is a quick. When you look in on Gris, you know this is like a woman who lives a hard life as a Vestan writer. You see her chained to the oars of a ship. She is in the under. She's on a, you know, the kind of ship because you haven't seen them often, but you've had them described to you. Crescent slave galleries are not powered by wind; they're powered by rowing power, and she is chained into the lower levels of one. She's lost a lot of weight. You see scars across her back from where she's been whipped. It looks like misery. You can only hold it for a few seconds. And then it's, you don't really have like a frame of reference where it is beyond that it's in the ocean. And that she's been branded as well.
Seeing this, she starts to cry, like half out of anger, mostly out of anger that this is where someone who's very dear to her is and what she's going through, and the rest out of the fact that she can't do anything. She doesn't know where she is.
Second vision? Okay.
20.
That's still enough to activate it. So Joran was the handsome young Vestal who was the most recent to join the crew of the Revenge.
The one closest to her age.
And you remember many a late night flirting with a man a few years older than you, the kind of cautious eyes of your mother whenever you slipped away with him. He's in Vendel clothes. His beard is shaved. The tattoos that he had on his arms are gone. Every sign that he was a Vestan is gone. And you watch as he lets himself into a very, very wealthy house here in Freeburg.
Can I tell what area of Freeburg?
Yeah, it's in Coartical.
Okay.
I completely mispronounced that. Caraquartal.
Okay. I may have another short thing I want to do.
Okay.
She comes out of this one feeling a bit more hopeful.
Okay.
With that, she's gonna sort of go around the area, hoping that she can run into him, or maybe he'll see her and recognize her, given the fact that she looks so much like her mother.
Okay. You are, you head to the area. It's actually not terribly hard to recognize the house. There are guards outside of it. And they're armed with pistols, which is, like fairly expensive in and of itself. The
Also, where do I stay? Is it also in the merchant's quarter?
Yeah, you've been staying with the smith or with the I don't think you're still staying with the clockmaker, are you?
I thought I was.
I didn't know if you'd moved out because it's been a while. So I don't know if you're still staying, and so
She has been, because he offered her a place to stay out of the kindness of his heart, and she feels bad leaving. But also, like, it's not out of a, oh, but I don't want to make him upset. It's also out of a, this is a kind man who cared
Yeah.
about my well-being enough.
Yeah. So as you are kind of like watching the house and trying to like check out the area and stuff like that, you hear one of the guards make a reference to Master Jor, which would be like a vandalization of his name.
She
Um,
scoffs under her breath.
And then as you're kind of like keeping an eye on it, you see a Vendel woman head up the steps of the same house that you saw him go into, carrying a several-month-old child.
She's putting two and two. Is this the kind of thing where like she's putting two and two together?
I'm not gonna tell you what she's putting together. You can draw whatever conclusions you want.
I feel like that's what you're telling me. So yeah. She fucking leaves.
Okay.
Um, like she just goes back to her place where she was, with the kind of, oh, at least it's not so bad for him.
Give me a wits and keen senses roll.
11.
Nope.
Oh,
All right. Do you have anything else?
yes, she wants to go talk to Hans.
Okay. Go right ahead.
Oh. I guess she's just gonna like go and knock quietly.
Oh, hello.
Hey,
What can I do for you?
just quickly, I won't take too much of your time.
Not particularly busy today.
That's fair.
Also, wits Hansa would also like you to make a wits and kingdoms as well.
Okay.
But continue.
Fuck. 9.
The wits are not witting.
I've used up all my good rolls for this session.
That's okay. Carry on.
Um, I spoke with Rosa during the feast. It is imperative that we keep as many guards at the feast as we can.
Understood. Keep them occupied,
Yes,
away from artifacts. Okay.
correct. That will. Yeah. That. Yeah.
Understood.
Because I keep stuttering, I feel like this. She has gone to talk to him soon after. Kind of doing her little check-in. And as she goes back home, she's gonna pass like kind of the same route past that house again.
The at the time that she goes
Still
by,
pulling
they've
some shit.
retired for the night.
Yeah.
And you have no sight of Joran. So let me switch over to
Not
Gerard now.
looking for anything in particular, just
Maybe he sees me when I'm walking outside.
well,
Gerard.
it's like a general, just like
Wait,
yep.
All right, let's do a quick sound check for you before we get into stuff.
all right, how's it sounding?
It sounded great. Okay, cool. All right. So what is Gerard doing during this time?
He has continued to search for, well, more than likely by now has already found a house for my lady and has started basically the paperwork, getting the servants, getting the furniture, all that fun stuff.
There are an abundance of landlords
Right.
that are here in the city, many of whom are willing to rent, but very, very few who are willing to sell. One of the few places, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and have you do a wits roll, and we'll call it nobility for like some proper land acquisition, or at least renting.
Nobility is
Skill, like noble skill.
right. So I've got a rating one, so that's 1 die, right?
Yep, and you'll add it to your wits.
That's what I was double checking, what I added it to. And then retain. Ooh, 14 total.
Okay. So you found a very lovely place that is within the budget, and the owner is well, okay. This is one of the nicer places that you found to rent where the owner will even discuss buying, but he wants to he's a peculiar little man who seems just obsessive about lots of small details. Like while you're talking to him, you see he's kind of like arranging the flowers that are outside of each of like the little homes in this area that he offers rentals at. And it takes a little minute to realize that he's like snipping them so that there's the exact same number of flowers inside of every little flower. What is the word I'm looking for?
He's obsessive compulsive. Like excessive pruning, so they're all perfect.
With
like the
it,
worst.
like the exact same number, like the houses are the exact same color, and he's like, I'm happy to rent, but you must understand that there are certain provisions that have to be met, certain requirements that others may find unusual, but my rates are in part because of this agreement.
At least he's
But he
kind
is
enough.
willing to discuss selling.
After a period, he says, once I understand, he says that the purchase will not diminish the price of my other homes.
Agreed, he's an HOA.
Low rent or the douchebag tax.
He says it is nothing personal.
Very well.
Um, he kind of the first month he says it can be paid up front. I do not require last month's rent. And you can shake hands on it with Waldo, and you know, if it is not up to honoring standards, it's certainly a nice place for you to stay, and within a range rental wise that you can afford to do so for a time.
Yes. So we'll get that started.
Give me a wits and keen census of your own. Man, it is not the day.
19.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. Okay.
He's looking at the previous roll.
Yeah. Okay. So so it is not a certainty the first day or the second day after the meeting. The first day you spot a Vodachi man in the crowd as you're kind of like moving between houses. The second day you spot him again. And it's not until the third day that you're sure it's the same man that you've seen in 3 different districts. But every single time when you've turned and like looked at his face, he's just kind of turned down another road.
Yeah, I'm definitely being followed. Let's lead him into a quieter place and find out why.
Go ahead and make another. I'll let you have your choice of skills, and finesse or wits for the point for the method of doing this.
We're going to use wits, and that's a martial skill.
Noble will not be useful for skulking around.
Yeah, no. Neither would warrior, so we'll just go straight off finesse.
Okay.
Skulks pretentiously.
Oh no, if I was trying to mix into a noble crowd, that would be different.
It's true.
Ooh.
38.
Okay. So you're not quite able to like maneuver him because he doesn't seem to be following you exclusively. It's not until after you kind of pick up the trail and are able to, you got a 38, so you're actually able to keep up behind him without him noticing you. As you realize, like you see him following Gav at one point as he like heads from the Explorer Society over to like the painters area. And then when he kind of like Gav hasn't like emerged for a while, he just curves off. And then he's following Runa for a time. And you kind of see him like follow Runa up until the point where Runa like knocks on Hans's door. And then you see him follow Hans the following day.
Yeah, we need to find out why he's so curious about our movements.
He's also very good at it. You get lucky, basically.
You said it was the next day that I was following Hans.
Yeah, like we didn't go into exactly what Hans was doing after the conversation with Runa and Hans, but as he's like going through his normal, like starting to look into the like Kinderhearth and stuff like that, like you see Hans like talking to a couple of different like mercenaries, and looks like he's investigating something here in this area. And the Vidachi is very discreetly tailing him the whole time.
Have I seen Gav during any of this?
Yeah, like the second day.
I'm gonna try and Gav's attention without losing track of this guy.
It's probably going to be something where, so like you have independently picked up his trail a few times. Does that make sense? Like basically what's happening is you're losing him, and the moment you lose him, he goes to follow somebody else.
Right.
Does that make sense? So if
Yeah.
you want to bring somebody else into this, you can, but it's going to be picking up his trail again on like the day right before the feast.
Yeah, I need to find out why this guy is so interested in us, and I need somebody who's better at this than I am. So I'm gonna go find Gav.
Hello, friend Swordman. How can I help you?
We seem to have picked up a bit of a weasel who's interested in our movements.
Is this weasel local?
Nah, he is Wadachi.
Do you need me to rid your basement of said pests?
At least find out why they are so interested in our grain.
Hmm. I will see what I can do.
I don't know.
And I think what Gav would do is, people in Finerhead, they know who the rat catchers are. They know who Gav is. He's got a reputation. And Gav hasn't always worked for the rat catchers. Sometimes people need Gav to rough someone up because they've broken on a deal. Gav doesn't ask questions, they're too hard. So he's going to kind of, to be perfectly blunt, he's going to ask the local bums what they've seen. Nobody watches the homeless. Nobody cares about homeless people. They just let them exist on the side of the road. So they've got nothing to do but watch.
Since he knows Kinderhearth like and the city as well, let me do one little switch on that. The homeless people are routinely kicked back out, and they don't get to stay in Kinderhearth for long. But kids are given an exemption, and they're actually the proto gangs throughout Kinderhearth, from which the real gangs usually draw their first numbers. Does that make sense?
And Gav would probably have a reputation between them as that big guy who does things when you ask them real nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wonderful.
So, yeah.
Kind of recognizes Gav immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Can I touch your hand? I put my finger through the holes.
Just poke kids and he asks about this sneaky man who has been following Gav and Gav's friends. He describes him literally as a weasel, because that's what Gerard said. So tell me, have you seen Weasel Man? Do you know where he hides?
He says, so he's not really hiding. He says, I know who he is. He's paid a few of us, he says, to follow people around the city.
Where does he pay you? Like, where do you go meet him? I would like to talk to him.
He says he usually shows up in the morning if he's got some work for us. And There are very, very few like open and active stores in this area. Does that make sense? Like most of them would get robbed or taken over. Are you bringing Gerard back into this by the time you kind of have this information?
Yeah, like he's gonna figure out what he can find out and then let Gerard know.
There is an area unique to Kinderhearth called the Shouters Square. It is an area that is set up for public argument. And it's called the Shouters Square so that like people who want to argue on a topic, they can just scream at each other. And like
More
the
places
kids
need a Shouters Square. Just saying that out loud.
the kids come for like free entertainment. Sometimes the arguments devolve into personal attacks. Sometimes they're interesting on their own. Sometimes it's people just getting worked up until they're red in the face, all of which the kids find amusing. It's also a place for like a lot of people to just sort of come and be and not really be noticed. Like, and the one store that's in the area is a book emporium. Books are extremely like valuable, all told, especially compared to like cheaper printed stuff. And so you see that the kid's kind of like he's usually out back behind that building when he's looking for some people to hire.
He tells Gerard, he's like, I think sometime in the near future we need to be looking into some books. Very important books about weasels and other such important matters.
Well then, let us go do some research.
Gav nods and gives his signature grin. It's a rictus. It's like someone told him what a smile is, but no one told him how you do that in a presentable way. So he just does the action. He's like, eh. Yeah. It's half feral, half every single one of his teeth. You know, kind of like what Doom Guy does when he picks up the BFG. Yeah, that kind of grin.
So a quick question. So we're now at 3 hours, and I think we should probably cut it off here and maybe have this as our cold open. I'm intending to run next week, even though it's right before New Year's. If you guys can make it.
As of now, I can make it. Yes.
Okay. Then I'm fully planning on having a game right before.
Nice. Yeah, the two of us should be good as well.
Yeah.
All right. And that should be the 22nd. And then I think we are on hiatus because Dirty 20 shuts down for the actual week of New Year's.
From Christmas to New Year's, we tend to call it.
Okay. So we're gonna have the two of you be the cold open next week for when we meet this mysterious Vidachi man who's been following the party as a whole. And that should be it for us for the night. So I want to thank everybody who came out to watch us tonight. We had a very lively chat. We had some new faces show up, and that was lovely. And I know this was kind of a different pace for the game because when we have like downtime games, it's just a lot of like everybody getting their own little moment, and stories progressing apace that way. So fully split the party in every direction you can split it. But I want to thank my players for being here. I want to thank Gloriosa for producing for us. I'm hopeful that we'll get to meet her next game, her character. And I also want to thank Kevin. I don't know if he's watching us tonight, but I do want to thank him for all the producing that he's done for us so far. It's been appreciated, as well as the community of Dirty 20 and everything that is provided for everybody here. I have greatly appreciated getting to just run a game and not have to worry about all the other technical details, and I just get to tell a story and then hang up my hat after that. So I also want to thank all the players tonight. I do something normally after the game in which everybody like gets to nominate somebody for an extra experience point, and I'm considering doing that just like on camera so that the audience kind of knows who everybody really enjoyed watching or who amongst the players. So if you guys want to give us a nomination for who you think had like the kind of cool moment that deserved an extra experience, I would love to hear it.
My nomination goes to Len and the bear.
Yeah.
That's good. The bear
Definitely
was
moment
really
of the
good.
night.
Is
The
that
bear
is
trip.
that an agreement on Len the Bear?
I also want to toot my own horn. I really liked the conversation between Gav and the painter.
That
Yeah,
was
with the
very
angel.
Yeah.
that was
fun.
very sweet. I liked that a lot.
I'm giving mine to Rosa for dragging me even further into this conspiracy reason.
We're getting Gerard fully invested in the conspiracy. A little treason.
So,
I
Like
also quite enjoy the development of Runa and Rosa's friendship.
it's also very nice.
I like that too.
Learning new languages.
The language potluck.
Oh, the language classes.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a
Like
lot of fun.
we're learning a bit of Vestin, we're learning a bit of Adachi, we're learning how to read and write in Aizen,
And it's all the dirty parts.
And
and we're learning.
oh, Usarian
Usarian.
is it? Usarian,
Us-
that's it.
Yeah, Usarian, and you can also teach Theodoran the Latin.
Oh, nice. So, because we've got as many players as we do, I think giving out more than one XP reward is just going to be a thing going forward. So I'm going to give one to Len and I'm going to give one to Gav. I really liked their two scenes. The comic relief was just like, I love comedy when it's like naturally occurring. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like, does this look like you can hold up a bear? Maybe. No. No, it cannot.
No, it could not.
Definitely not.
And the opposite touch point of that was getting to see Gav kind of, like that artistic side of him.
Yep.
So
So-
down to earth.
Yes.
So, I'm gonna give those two, and then so closing us out for the night. I just wanted to say, the motto at Dirty 20 is that if you can't be kind, be nice. We're going into a new year, a year that's going to hold a lot of challenges for a lot of people. There's no better time to take it to heart. So be nice to people. Be nice to everyone.
Indeed.
And we'll see you all next week.
Good night.
Night,
Bye.
y'all.
Everybody.